going to disassemble and clean and reassemble this Spree carburetor. Comes off of a 1986 Spree. This is called the bi-starter. It's the it's like a choke. It's like an automatic choke. To test it, you just put this plug here to 12 volts and watch that needle and this whole collar. What will happen is the collar will start to come out and you'll see it take up some of the slack against the needle. It's really slow. I mean, it could take a minute, more than a minute, for it to move all the way out, And by doing that, it does something in here to restrict and help it with the warm-up process. So I've had 2 or 3 of these that were really old and none of them were bad. So it seems to be a product or a part that doesn't always wear out too bad. This is the drain for the bowl at the bottom, the screw. All it does, plugs here, and there's a line you can connect here to drain out the carb by just loosening the screw. Your bowl at the bottom. Usually that's really crudted up if fuel's been sitting there for a long time. This is your float. You can see that gold? That's all like varnish from the old fuel. There we go. It's all sticky, needs to be cleaned. And right here we got this pin that's supposed to float up and down with your float, but it's just stuck in there from the fuel that was sitting in this carburetor. So we're gonna have to soak it or something to loosen this stuff up. Then there's a rubber gasket, runs around the outside edge. But that's it. This carburetor is very simple. Not a lot of pieces to take apart. There's a tube in here though that you need to remove. This can be very hard to get out. I got lucky. You don't want to strip this thing up. It's soft. If you can't get this threaded plug out, then you won't be able to get that tube I mentioned that's inside there out, which you've got to get that thing out, not just to clean through it, but you got to get it out because there's holes on the side of it. And the way you can get it out is through here. That's the end of it. You can push through here and then try to get it to come all the way through. So I'm going to use this flat end of this punch to try to push that through if I can. Don't want to bang it up. I think I'm going to need to put some oil in here to loosen it up before I start banging on that, because it's probably not going to go otherwise. So I think I'm going to plug this up, pour some oil in there, and let it sit. Just going to hit it with a little bit of carb cleaner. So it's soaked for a while, and this needle valve is now able to come out. I just had some crud on the top of it. It's still pretty dirty in there. Take out these other two needles. They have springs on them. Yeah, here it is. They're very dirty. Now let's see if we can get this tube out. Oh, that penetrating oil works good because that came right out easy. I'll show you the stuff I'm using to soak parts that are stuck. I found that this is just the best stuff. It gets into every corner, soaks around threads. It just works. This whole bottle was only $6.99. So now, I guess we got it through, but to get it all the way through, I got to find another Q-tip or something to push that further. Got a kit here with a bunch of very small heads. I'm going to try one of these, see if it's a match. Don't want to bend that brass tube at all. That felt pretty good. See if we can push the rest of the way with this Q-tip now. Yep, there we go. So that's the tube. You got to get out of this main jet here, because you got to take it out, because even though you can clear through it, these very tiny holes have to be clear all the way around it. And you can see I got sludge here, so I'm sure it's everywhere in there. So you got to soak this carburetor cleaner and really get this thing clean. Put some copper wire, some really thin copper wire. This isn't thin enough. Try to find some that'll fit through the holes. This one does. Thread them through and just clean them out really good. See, they get smaller. Fits through this one, but not the other two. So that's got to be very, very clean. Another jet that you want to make sure is really clean is this one here. It's called the Pilot jet. It's pressed in to the body of the carburetor. You can pull it out, but you'd really need a good tool to grab it and not damage it. And most people are not recommending that you do that. I did it to another carburetor that I didn't care about. And I just ripped it out. And it looks like this. This hole at about this point here becomes extremely narrow. And then it gets wider again to this part here. But what you find is it's pressed in all the way to here, and it does not want to come out. But it's got tiny little holes in here as well, all around it, that you got to get clean. So this is a difficult one to clean, but I don't know if I'd recommend taking it off of the carburetor. I'd leave it there and hit it hard with the air, compressed air, with carburetor cleaner, whatever you can do to try to get it to clear. And there's a little teeny hole below it here where it can vent out. If this is plugged, I think it hurts idling and starting, but it doesn't really affect full throttle operation. But you got to get that clean, and I don't have a good answer for that. I've tried to flush it and flush it, and try to open up any clogs in there and flush it, and I just hope I got it clean, but there's not much you can do for that. But with everything else, hit it hard with compressed air, and with as much carburetor cleaner as you got, let it flush out every little nook and cranny. At this point, I think this one's pretty good, and I'll just go ahead and put it back together. So lay out the parts here. Put that main jet piece back in there first. And I didn't have to push hard at all for that to go in there, and I can see it protruding in like it was when I first took it out. So that's in a good spot. Here's that main jet. And this, I just put it in until it's snug. Don't got to refone it. Go ahead and put the little jet right in there like that, so it hangs. And then drop it in the hole. Like that. And then secure it with the pin. Like that. And then tighten it down with that bolt. So now our float has some action. I think that's it for the inside. Something else that's really important to clean out is where the bi-starter fits into the bowl, down in here. That whole area can get clogged up because there's a vent or an inlet right in here in this small side pocket. So you gotta try to work a wire in there. You clean through there. If you shine a bright light into this hole, you'll be able to see your wire go in and out. And then you know that this part's clear. So it's important to work that wire in there, clean that out, and then clean out this whole area in here. That'll make it easier on you when you're trying to get it started, because your bi-starter feeds straight down into that hole. Put the bowl bottom back on there. Two screws. So you get your two adjustment screws. This one goes in the bottom. I just snug them both in until they bottom out. Now in my two carburetors, I did not have an O-ring. Some people say this bottom one has an O-ring. Mine did not have it. So I got it to the bottom. Then I'm going to come out 1.5 turns. There's one. And then there's a half. This top screw is an idle air screw. Come out, I go to the bottom and I come back out about 3. And then you adjust that on the kickstand. You adjust it, the idle up and down, so the wheel's not spinning on the high side and so it doesn't stall out on the low side. So I'm going to come out 3 turns. 1, 2, 3. That's how you adjust that. Then we got the bi-starter plug into here. Got some mismatched screws on that. Got a O-ring goes in here. It's an old one, unfortunately. This here, make sure that you don't put this O-ring touching the O-ring. That doesn't make any sense. But make sure you don't have it flip-flopped. It's pretty subtle, but that'll really mess you up. One of these sprees I got that was junked, it was set up this way. And the guy told me he was having trouble getting it to run. I'm like, that's exactly why. Had a ton of air leaks. So that's got to fit that way. And there's 2 bolts. One goes towards the back of the engine, that's the long one. And one's at the front, that's the short one. If you get them reversed and you crank it down too tight, you could crack something. So you got a long one and a short one. The long one's going to go in the back. Goes through your intake and then threads into here. I'm just going to set them here so I don't lose the bolts. There's that. And then your bi-starter just plugs into this hole here. Kind of slides down, kind of holds itself there. And then this will go into this plastic lip and then hold it down from the top. fact, I'm going to try to find the right screw for this. That's it. Pretty much that's all I got to do. There's not a lot of disposable pieces in here. Just got to be careful you don't have a broken float like I did, and that you don't have a bad gasket around here, bad O-ring. But otherwise, all the pieces pretty much just need to be cleaned. And like I said, tough part is getting that main jet out, getting that tube out, and getting that pilot jet as clean as you can get it. I hope this helps you. Please subscribe. I'll be making some more videos as I rebuild several of these sprees. And please tell your friends if they need help. And have a great day.